Yeah, in hindsight, don't know what I expected. I survived 100 days with a Jenny mod in Minecraft, but then I had to scrap it.
Why would you scrap all that work, you idiot?
Oh, you want to know? Okay, roll the clip. Oh god, what is this? Oh no! Yeah, in hindsight, don't know what I expected. I survived 100 days with a Jenny mod in Minecraft.
I'm going to be spending the next 100 days in the newest version of Minecraft Gen Mod. And if I die at any point, I'll fuck your mom. Jenno, what are you? Oh, I spawned right next to a Jenny. Let me just grab some wood first. Speaking of Jenny, there's some slime girls here too. Right next to slime girl and Jenny, Mickey. Alright, instead of idling around, I gotta talk to Mrs. Jenny over here. Jenny, I missed you. You have no idea how horrible it was on Bedrock Edition. I know, right? You gotta follow me. I'm gonna take your bed, take a few torches of yours, why not? And, I need a pickaxe so I can take your furnace too. Alright, Jenny, let's get out of here. Jenny, you doing alright? Jenny, you gotta work with me here. Alright, Jenny, you're me against the world. Alright, now, if I remember correctly, yep, right over here is some stone. Let's get a bunch of stone stuff, huh? There's still so many pigs. Alright, Jenny, you won't believe it, but the newest version has a new mommy goth girl inside the nether, alright? So I'm just got a bit of stone here. For those of you wondering why I'm not using shaders, it's because this new version, the new developer did something with it, and the shaders are really glitchy right now, so until she fixes it, we'll have no shaders. Right, Jenny? It's an X. I got X. Right, Jenny, do you see anybody out there other than me over there? Right? You gotta, is there anybody else?
You know, it's like everything is turned upside down. People now stay indoors or sleep during the day. At night, we go out and do things. I'm still not used to it.
Ephesians.
Fried chicken!
I told him that was wildly inappropriate, and we agreed to discuss it later. In the meantime, I have to go outside and kill more criminals. My only advice for this section is don't get cocky just because you're in power armor, because those raiders will absolutely laser you, and I cannot express how jarring it is to get hit by a car, fly through the air for 30 seconds, wake up in a different time zone, and then get hit again. Also, that bridge we made, I recommend using that to your advantage. And finally, don't stand too close to Preston. Once I was done committing vehicular manslaughter, I spoke with Preston, and he agreed to meet me at Sanctuary, so we could begin building a prosperous settlement. And by the looks of it, we've got our work cut out for us. Our first order of business is ignoring the cars that are actively phasing through the walls and trying to consume Mama Murphy. Because what's more important is liberating at least 5 settlements and creating supply routes between them to establish a functional support network of civilizations. And once that's done, then we can find and kill the Institute. Our first settlement will be 10 times blood. I made my...
Jim Van Brett, Senator Chase Limited.
Heads off.
Controversial protection. Examine A. Always controversial position the world.
Let's make that call.
Reporting in!
Let's rotate.
I made my way there, where I encountered a woman who was almost certainly experiencing methamphetamine withdrawal, which is fine, but I just don't trust the way she's shaking that double barrel of shotgun like an unwanted baby. Anyway, let's just go to Lexington and kill the raiders.
The expert is here.
Jane! This will take about 10 minutes. It went like this.
Jane! Jane!
I cannot resist the call to the void. Die several times in a sea of cars before finally making it inside the bowling alley. Hit a perfect strike and then attempt to commit identity fraud when confronted by a robot. Fail at committing identity fraud. Blow everything up in frustration.
Careful.
Back up here!
Let's escape. Sorry, but no. Found your weakness.
It's where I claim that you because you load up your target with about 2 dozen cars and then create a long stream of them leading to the same position from flight, much like a whip. This allows us to detonate several different cars from a safe distance, or so I thought.
I'll make it pain.
The explosion of 25 cars sends
The
you up
expert is here.
flying, and if you're not careful, you're going to catch one in the face. So I'll try again, this time hiding behind a tree. And I still got absolutely annihilated.
Don't get
Eventually, I
hit.
did get inside, and after breathing the receptionist, I was left with an entire factory packed
Put your
full of
hands up.
cars. So I lit one on fire, hid in the corner, and started pissing all over myself.
The final act begins now. Nothing to it.
Justice will prevail.
Just give up. Careful. It's back. Here. Let's make this quick. Now, you're the prey.
James!
Let's rotate.
Clearing the drive-in was simply a matter of filling it with vehicles, beating one of them with a tire iron, and then watching as a dozen mole rats go up in flames. That makes 3 settlements in total, with 2 left to go. And next, we're heading to Oberlin Station. On my way there, I was presented with a tantalizingly tempting opportunity. A Pulowski preservation shelter surrounded by yet-to-be-exploded
mission.
cars. Obviously, I had to put this to the test. And while I was expecting to be turned into a human smoothie, the shelter actually worked. Following this, I met the leader of Oberlin Station, who complained about being victimized by a gang of violent criminals operating out of Backstreet Apparel. Don't worry, lady, I'm a fucking psycho. So I made my way to the fens and started fighting through each neighborhood in close-quarters urban combat. This area is teeming with suicidal super mutants, rabid animals, trigger-happy bandits, and around every corner, there's a car waiting to rip your face off. For these ailments, Dr. Reginald prescribes live hand grenades. Use these well, and they'll make your life a lot easier, and their life a lot shorter. Just watch out for the mega cars. I spotted one of these at the end of the street and was drawn to it like some kind of siren. But once I got close, it launched a car at me, at which point I decided it had to die. After that, I made my way into Backstreet Apparel and immediately realized 2 things. 1, it's absolutely stuffed with cars, and 2, some maniac lobbed a grenade at me, at which point I left. If I go back in there, I'm not surviving. So I entered through the roof, where I received a notification that the quest had been completed. Geez, I wonder what happened. Briefly exploring the building, I sifted through a medley of human body parts. Some died in their sleep, others hard at work. The only known survivor was a singular teddy bear on the toilet. The mission is complete, but since I was in the area, I thought I'd stop by Diamond City to see how it was coping with the whole carpocalypse thing.
What?
I approached Piper, but felt extremely uneasy about the car dangling over her head. My suspicions were confirmed when it smashed my skull into a million pieces. After respawning, I can confirm that this car, in specific, is an absolute bastard. When I did eventually get inside, things weren't looking so good. The cars were blocking access to several homes and storefronts, and at least a dozen people appeared to be homeless as a result. Also, within minutes of being here, I witnessed a man pull a gun on his own brother before security guards blew his head off with a car. This place has gone to hell. So I promptly left, only to be crushed by automotive precipitation within seconds of leaving. But it's not all bad, because while I was there, I pawned my wedding ring to a Spanish man in exchange for a long-range scope on my rifle and a silencer for my pistol. Now my enemies will never know what hit them. With that,
The $6 meal deal is here. It starts with Dunkin's legendary coffee, a toasty, melty bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, and a crispy, crumbly order of hash browns. It's kind of the biggest deal in breakfast. The $6 meal deal, available now.
Life is calling. And wherever it takes you, you'll have access to care your way. MVP Medicare Advantage plans offer a broad network and free virtual care. Find your advantage with MVP. Call or go online today.
With that, I decided to head back to Preston for our final mission, and my transit was accelerated substantially when I made the mistake of jumping on this pile of cars and getting launched into a ditch 300 feet away. Following this, I spoke with Preston, and he assigned me to help Nordhagen Beach. On my way there, I encountered several things. One of them, a junkyard full of cars that I can't blow up. Terrifying. For some reason, I felt a deep personal need to conquer this area in specific, so I tried. This was a mistake, because I spent the next 30 minutes dying, being lit on fire, or my personal favorite, being chased through the woods by a suicide bomber, accidentally blinding myself, and then getting attacked by a black bear that I can't even see.
Time to rotate.
After much suffering, I did manage to clear out 99% of the junkyard. The only survivor was a singular super mutant wielding a wooden 2x4. I used this as an opportunity to bully him extensively, until I got bored, lodged him in some construction equipment, and meleeed his foot until he died. Abusing him in this way channeled some feeling similar to melting an ant with a magnifying glass, and personally, I liked it a lot. After this, I came across a robot racetrack, where these bandits are betting money on which robot is going to win. Very exciting. Possibly more exciting is that I snuck upstairs, hacked into this computer, and found out there's a button to detonate all of the contestants. The level of free will that I didn't have in this moment was possibly akin to demonic possession, because I could not stop myself from pressing that button. The bandits did not appreciate this. How do I know that? Well, there's only so many ways to interpret being lit on fire, shot with an automatic rifle, and drown in the ocean. So, yeah. I took that as my cue to leave, so I proceed to the beach, where this woman tells me about feral ghouls stealing and eating her children, and while I respect the hustle, I need to put them down. Arriving at the ghouls' hideout, I go inside, and what do you know? It's full of cars. So full, in fact, that I can't even stand at the front door without the cars crushing every bone in my body. The desperation I felt...
What do you hear? You hear more than music.
Your body wash with the dyes, the sulfates, the lack of legendary scents. I don't love it. Meet Native. Clean, simple, sensational body wash that'll make you fall in love with your shower. Stop settling for basic body wash. My God. What's up?
We're partners now, not playing cat and mouse. Does that sound a bit weird coming from me? So that has...
What's up, guys? Jamie2017 here, and I bring you a new Fallout 4 tips and tricks video. And this time we are continuing my unique weapon guide series with one of the most powerful rifles in the game. Just a quick reminder, guys, this is your hub for daily Fallout 4 content here on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned on my channel for daily Fallout 4 tips and tricks videos. Today I'm going to show you how to get a unique weapon called the Last Minute, and this super powerful weapon is a Gauss rifle, which returns from Fallout 3 and New Vegas, but this time it looks completely different, and it doesn't actually knock people down. That was a cool effect in the previous game. We don't really have it with this version of the gun. However, it's arguably even more powerful than it was before, and this particular Gauss rifle has an interesting modifier on it. Real quick, I will be streaming Fallout 4 on my Twitch channel tonight, so check the description for more info if you are interested. The Last Minute is located at a vendor at the castle, which is a location on the very eastern shore of the map. It's pretty much due east of Diamond City, and it's sold by a vendor named Ronnie Shaw, who's an old school Minutemen person, and you meet her by doing the Old Guns quest, and you actually have to complete the Old Guns quest in order to even buy this weapon. And Old Guns is the 5th Minutemen quest available, and it's part of their side quest chain, and it can be done before you are faction locked. So, for example, before you go beyond the point of no return, you can do this quest. as you guys know, you can do a lot of faction quests before you actually have to choose, and this is one of them. So make sure and do this before you get faction locked. Once you're there, if you have trouble finding Ronnie Shaw, she might be in the armory area, which is a place that you unlocked when you did the Old Guns quest. She might be hanging out in there instead of out in the open. And once you get there, you know, this was around 3,000 caps for me, a little over 3,000 caps, but I have a completely full charisma character with all of Cap Collector and plenty of magazines to reduce prices with vendors. So, you know, this may be a lot more expensive for you depending on what kind of character you're running, but the minimum is around 3,000 caps, and it can just go up
This
from
kind
there.
of transaction
As you can tell, the last
is
minute
outside public security's jurisdiction,
be the
right?
case across all South.
Continue the operation and complete Withering Garden Core.
Rifles in this game.
Yes, Zachary.
That's why you're seeing over 400 damage, which seems ridiculous. This will be a lot lower if you do not have Rifleman. Of course, my Rifleman doubled it since I've got maxed out with that perk. Dealing with here is also a legendary modifier, and it's 50% more limb damage with the crippling modifier. And so if you think about it, it's all Gauss rifles in this game. However, I also do have rifles. You did the Old Guns quest, she might be hanging out in there instead of out in the open. And once you get there, you know, this was around 3,000 caps for me, a little over 3,000 caps, but I have a completely full charisma character with all of Cap Collector and plenty of magazines to reduce prices with vendors. So, you know, this may be a lot more expensive for you depending on what kind of character you're running, but the minimum is around 3,000 caps, and it can just go up from there. As you can tell, the last minute has incredible damage, but that seems to be the case across all Gauss rifles in this game. However, I also do have Riflemen, so that's why you're seeing over 400 damage, which seems ridiculous. This will be a lot lower if you do not have Riflemen. Of course, my Riflemen doubled it since I've got maxed out with that perk. And so what we're dealing with here is also a legendary modifier, and it's 50% more limb damage with the crippling modifier. And so if you think about this, you're already dealing, at least in my case,
Master,
something
I
damage.
await your regal return from the bathroom.
That is quite a lot of damage, and I couldn't really tell you guys if that 50% is applied before or after Rifleman. If it is applied after Rifleman, this is incredibly good, but I don't know. I didn't notice a huge difference between the damage I was dealing to just the torso area or the limbs. I tried to target both of them in my gameplays here just to show you guys a comparison between the two. In terms of modding, the last minute already comes with a lot of the best in slot mods for this weapon. So a lot of the best Gauss rifle mods are already on it. However, the one thing I would look at is the stock. You can replace the stock that it comes with the recoil compensating stock that's just a little bit better. And then you might want to look at the sight, because the sight it comes with is a little funky. It's a night vision scope, and I haven't been a big fan of the, you know, like long range scopes in this game because they reduce, you know, kind of the sensitivity when you're in the scope. So I replaced mine with a Gauss reflex sight, and I kind of enjoyed the run and gun feeling that it gave the gun, but of course that's completely up to you. And if you do want to do some of these higher level mods, you'll need pretty high rank of gun nut, and then science as well, since this is an energy weapon. Some additional observations I had while using this weapon are that it is so incredibly powerful. It's so good that I wouldn't even use it on normal. I am showing you normal gameplay because I believe that most of you guys that are watching, you know, the average person that plays Fallout is probably just going to stay on the default, you know, level. However, going up to survival probably makes this weapon a little more realistic. You'll tell from this gameplay that I'm just mowing through.
I am mimicking your voice to reassure the squad members that someone said the way I speak is
the last
suspicious.
minute is located at a vendor at the castle, which is a location on the very eastern shore of the map. It's pretty much due east of Diamond City, and it's sold by a vendor named Ronnie Shaw, who's an old school Minutemen person, and you meet her by doing the Old Guns quest, and you actually have to complete the Old Guns quest in order to even buy this weapon. And Old Guns is the 5th Minutemen quest available, and it's part of their side quest chain, and it can be done before you are faction locked. So, for example, before you go beyond the point of no return, you can do this quest. As you guys know, you can do a lot of faction quests before you actually have to choose, and this is one of them. So make sure and do this before you get faction locked. Once you're there, if you have trouble finding Ronnie Shaw, she might be in the armory area, which is a place that you unlocked when you did the Old Guns quest. She might be hanging out in there instead of out in the open. And once you get there, this was around 3,000 count.
The frustration I felt in this moment drove me to pioneer a new car clearing technique. I lit a car on fire and counted how long it took to explode. Then, using that information, I went inside, ignited a car, and perfectly timed my exit just as the whole building went nuclear. After that, I took a few deep breaths and went back in. It worked like a charm. In fact, not only is the quest complete, but it's literally raining body parts inside. With that finished, we've got 5 settlements under our control, and Preston wants us to go reclaim the Minutemen Castle and declare that our capital city. So I began making my way there, and a few things happened along the way. For example, I encountered a demented man eating imaginary noodles out of an empty bowl. I briefly considered euthanizing him on the spot, but I decided to speak with him first. This was when I realized just how bad his mental disorder was, because he's from Boston.
But no, that means you're smart, super smart.
He's trying to sell me a credit card and won't take no for an answer. After I call him a con artist, he drops the hard R on me. Well, Parker Quinn, I might be retarded, but at least I'm not retarded enough to eat ramen noodles in the middle of 4 flaming cars. After they exploded, I searched his body. This chaotic lunatic didn't even have a credit card in the first place. After that, I met up with the Minutemen outside the castle, where we were immediately beset by Mirelurks. It was at this moment I learned that AI are not to be trusted begins now. Because they'll either crush themselves in a vehicular avalanche or accidentally shoot you into the nearest brick wall. After dispatching the crabs, our assault on the castle began, and I spent the next 10 minutes running around killing Mirelurks and dodging drunk drivers in my underwear, which was great, but my teammates were quickly saturating the entire castle with cars, meaning that every 30 seconds my screen would turn black and I'd have a 50% chance of dying. And that chance increased exponentially when the Queen Mirelurk decided to show up. She was spitting acid and generally giving off bad vibes. So me and the boys started lighting her up. And just as I was about to throw a grenade and turn this whole place into a fish market, a soft-shell crab punched me 40 feet into the ocean. This knocked me out and left me drifting through a sea of aqueous feces. But eventually I came to my senses, tossed a frag, and it was all over. To celebrate, Preston decided to give the world's most poorly timed speech next to a few flaming cars. In case you're wondering, there were no survivors. After that, I spoke with a dirt-encrusted woman who appears to have spent the last 8 months face down in the mud. And instead of asking us for a shower, she wants to go into the Minutemen tunnels, fight our way to the armory, and build an artillery emplacement.
No new orders for now.
So we did.
Time to train.
Long story short, I found a decapitated alcoholic, stole his clothes, killed an angry robot, and built this. Very
Since our launch in 2019, we've received thousands of requests for an electric trike, which means a bunch of people out there want to ride electric, but need that third wheel to take that adventure on with confidence.
Seth here.
Our mission
Nothing
is
to
get
report.
as many people
Over.
riding as possible and make the carefree fun of e-biking accessible to everyone.
Very nice. After that, Ronnie gave us some smoke grenades and told us to call in an artillery strike with them. I gave it my best shot, only to find out that even the smoke grenades are cars. No. In this
No new orders for now.
Existential
Time to
dread
train.
washed over me as I realized I'm basically King Midas, but for cars instead of gold. Regardless, we've got 6 settlements and we're doing pretty good for ourselves. Now I know you're thinking, so what, Reggie? You've got a handful of impoverished shanty towns paying you protection money. You're basically a slumlord. To that, I say yes, and we're
Seth
going
here.
to need to take
Nothing
it
to
even
report.
further,
Over.
Because I have a grand vision for how I want to reshape society, and it's going to require more than a little fascist dictatorship. So let's get to work. The first thing the wasteland's going to need is clean drinking water, so I converted Nordhagen Beach into an industrial desalination plant. With this, we can produce dozens of purified water every day and sell it to the Commonwealth.
No new orders for now. Time to train.
Also, this is completely autonomous, which means I have no financial incentive to provide any quality of life to the few settlers which I have trapped inside. From here, I went to 10 Pines Bluff and established a carrot farming operation. You may notice I encased the entire settlement in a thick layer of concrete. That's for added protection, and also because I don't believe in photosynthesis. Overland Station is another one of my carrot farms. However, I ran out of concrete, so the life cycle of these settlers is pulling carrots out of the ground until a raider shows up and blows their head off. Meanwhile, I converted the Starlight Drive-In into a Brahmin ranch. By placing several large cages, we can catch Brahmin and then use their feces as fertilizer for the other farms. We can also use a similar technique to capture humans. By labeling our cages with 3 M's, we can compel raiders to wander inside, at which point they become our hostages. The remarkable efficacy of this tactic leads me to believe the raiders possess the approximate intelligence of a lobster. Finally, Sanctuary was converted into a penal colony to punish settlers that didn't meet their prohibited quotas. All of the inhabitants were forced to sleep in an unlit metal warehouse, which could only be opened from the outside, meaning that if I forgot about them for a few days, they'd have to start harvesting each other's body hair for nutrition. On the occasion where I would show up and let them out, they'd be assigned to one of many workstations. Example, Preston and Mama Murphy were usually working the wheat fields. Doesn't sound too bad. Until you realize I'm pelting them with automated paintball guns for the entirety of their 18-hour shift. While the paintball fields aren't great, things could be much, much worse. Because you could be stuck in the pillory, where I use a softball pitching machine to lob empty beer bottles at you until the sun goes down. This burns through a lot of bottles, so I typically spend my entire day here drinking whiskey and pissing myself. In my drunken stupor, I also experimented with the idea of a gladiatorial arena where settlers could fight to the death for my amusement. It didn't take long for me to realize why this was a bad idea. For lesser offenses, I also have a humiliation station where I strip you down to your underwear and fire all of your personal belongings out of a comically large mortar. For everyone else, they're assigned to stationary bicycles that provide power to the entire settlement. Also, I can literally program the bikes to shock their testicles if the settler isn't pedaling fast enough. And yes, this can kill them. Honestly, this is the beating heart of my whole faction, and I shouldn't even call it a penal colony, because they're free to leave whenever they want. They just have to make it past the gauntlet, a series of rotary blades that will not hesitate to put you down. You see, here in my factories, the worker does not own the product of their labor. In fact, they're not even entitled to the sweat of their brow, because that belongs to the desalination plant. Instead, they are afforded the privilege of living in a car-free society, and I think that makes it all worth it. Now, you may be wondering why I chose to farm these things specifically, and I'll tell you, it's because at the castle, I have created the largest macaroni and cheese factory in the entire world, a title which is substantially easier to hold in the post-apocalypse. By using the carrots, wheat, and purified water from my settlements, in addition to plastic waste that I've pulled out of the harbor, I've been able to build and operate 8 full-time food processors, which are churning out Blamco mac and cheese around the clock. Now come here, I want to play a little game with you. When you look at this fully automated factory equipped with vacuum hoppers, logic circuits, and a laser tripwire sorting system, all powered by a fusion reactor, which of these things do you think I had to get from a mod? Well, I'll tell you, it was the goddamn upward conveyor belt. That's right, Todd sold us a factory building DLC without any upward conveyor belts, which is made even worse by the fact that he did give us downward conveyor belts.
16 times the detail.
He can't keep getting away with this. Anyway, according Anyway, according to my calculations, I have no idea how much macaroni and cheese I'm making, but my best approximation is about 69,120 boxes every single day. I can then take this abundance of delicious and non-perishable food and distribute it to the Commonwealth, raising thousands out of famine and ending countless food-related conflicts. Or at least, that's what you'd believe if you were a federal agent. Because the reality of the situation is this whole thing is just one big cover story. In fact, deep within these tunnels is an insane man cooking methamphetamine in his underwear. It's me. I'm the insane man. Yes, indeed. I'm making 69,000 boxes of macaroni every day just to conceal my real operation, which is the manufacture and distribution of a highly addictive narcotic called Jet. You see, the fertilizer isn't actually for the farms. Simply put, Jet is an amphetamine derived from Brahmin feces, and with almost 20 Brahmin at my settlements, I'm able to pump out dozens of it every single day. I'm selling it to everyone, even children. This little bastard can't get enough of the stuff. Oh, and all those bandits we've been killing, they were just rival dealers. Simply put, we've got a monopoly on this whole thing. But I'll be honest, running a drug den within a macaroni factory does get a little complicated. And I'd be lying if I said there wasn't the occasional slip-up.
Comfortable.
This pasta.
But listen, this little secret stays between you and me, because while I could be making millions selling pasta and purified water to the masses, I actively prefer making thousands by creating the next crack epidemic. So, with all of that out of the way, I think it's clear that we've rebuilt a functional and prosperous car-free society, and I, for one, am filled with confidence when I consider our prospects for the future. The only thing left to do now is to destroy the source of the cars, which is the Institute. It's going to be a lot of work, so let's try to get through this as quickly as possible. At the start of the game, I allowed the Institute to steal my son Sean, because now I've got a man on the inside. All I need to do is find him. I went back to Diamond City to hire a private detective named Nick, but he himself is also missing. His secretary asks us to find him, so obviously I extort her for money. More money. Even more money. Okay, that'll do. Let's go get him. From here, I very carefully exited Diamond City and began my search, during which I stumbled into a building called the Combat Zone. I know the name sounds bad, but the house rules clearly state no combat outside the cave, so I assumed I would be safe. This assumption was very quickly proven wrong when I was shot into a door and beaten with pool cues. However, karma comes quickly for rule breakers, and the entire building exploded shortly after. I got up, made my way into the cage, spoke with a burn victim, not sure if he looked like that before the explosion, and then he gifted me an indentured servant named Kate. I know that sounds like a good deal, but she's a violent Irish drug addict who will sexually harass you at every opportunity. I took Kate to a nearby lake with the intention of drowning her, but instead I stumbled upon a sea monster named Swan. He's submerged underwater, and if you disturb him, he will beat you to death with an anchor. So instead, I began carefully and deliberately distributing cars all over the area. After about 30, I heard him wake up, so I tossed a grenade and ran away with all 7 of my frames. After my screen cleared up, I found that his headless corpse had been launched over 100 feet into a nearby alley. This allowed me to pick up the furious power fist from his body. This bad boy can destroy cars in 3 hits. This is a big power spike for us. Anyway, after that, we descended upon the subway, which led us to Vault 114, where Nick was being held by raiders. These criminals think they're safe just because they're living inside the vault. But what they don't know is that I'm incredibly addicted to every chemical substance in the game, and I perfectly timed my withdrawal symptoms to hit at the same time, and when that happens, I'm going to kill everyone. There is a temptation to feel guilty about the fact that 95% of my victims can't even be identified through dental records, but they should have thought about that before being born. After the killing spree, we found Nick and began our escape, but our progress came to a grinding halt when Nick became hyper-fixated on this specific laundry room. He just stood there for hours, and nothing I could do to get him to leave. Eventually, I realized I could move him around by punching him in the face, and so began the hour-long journey of punching Nick all the way to the objective. But you've got to be careful, because even though he has about 150 concussions by this point, he will not hesitate to jump up and start running back to the washing machine if you let him. So stay vigilant and keep swinging. Eventually, I got him to the objective, and we were just about to escape when we were confronted by Skinny Malone and his thugs. Fortunately, I was able to weaponize my status as a terminally online man to red pill Skinny into believing that his girlfriend was just using him for his money. This revelation made him feel so dejected that he didn't even want to fight us. The one condition is that we only have 10 seconds to leave. But Nick is currently fighting and losing a battle against a 1955 Lincoln Indianapolis, so he couldn't escape and they got pissed. I really wish every social interaction didn't have to end like this, but here we are. After this, we met Nick at his office to discuss our plans to find my son and destroy the Institute. He tells me to take a seat and get comfortable, so I remove all of my clothes. We identify the man that took Sean as Kellogg and decide to break into his house and look for clues. The only issue, it was a booby trap. Yeah, whole thing full of cars. I wanted to experiment to see if I was high enough level to survive the explosion. So I wiggled my way upstairs, drank an entire bottle of vodka, lit a car on fire, and waited to face my destiny. Destiny hurt a lot, but I survived by jamming adrenaline syringes into my chest and plugging my wounds with leftover food. Nick and Kate were also completely fine. With the cars now cleared out, we were able to find Kellogg's gooning chamber, which had no shortage of genetic material. Genetic material which we then used to track him down with the help of a dog. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I probably died 50 times during this part. And I don't know why. Things just kept exploding. Eventually, I was even able to predict my deaths down to the second. 3, 2, 1. Much like Chinese water torture, this form of suffering was terrible in its simplicity and irresistible in its truth. After much hyperventilating, I made it to Fort Hagen, where Kellogg was hiding out. I entered through the roof, got pinned in the corner, and then had to endure the entire building exploding for the next 25 seconds. By some divine miracle, I survived this ordeal and killed my way to Kellogg. When I met him, I delivered a pretty sweet one-liner and then got put down like a dog. For my second attempt, I just jumped straight to filling the entire room with cars and blowing it up. I have yet to find a more effective combat technique than this. After this, it was back to Nick's to discuss what happened. Kellogg didn't give us any information on account of the incident, but Nick tells me there's a voodoo shaman that can read people's minds, which is convenient because I just so happened to scoop up a fistful of Kellogg's brain matter back at Fort Hagen. So we make our way to Good Neighbor to meet the doctor. Within 60 seconds of arriving, a man extorts me for protection money and is immediately stabbed to death. Looks like someone wasn't paying their protection fees. After that, I head to the memory den, where I am victimized by a car half a dozen times. I cannot properly express the anxiety I now experience when entering buildings. But if you can imagine that behind every door, cabinet, and cupboard in your house, a car is waiting to kill you, then you are approximating the surrealist hell that is my reality. Eventually, I made it past the cars and met Dr. Amelia, who offers to put me inside of Kellogg's memories to try and find the location of the Institute. So I agreed, and dear God, there's cars even in the memories. I spend some time rooting through Kellogg's psyche, where I learned that he's so violent because his father didn't breastfeed him enough as a child. I also learned that there's an escaped scientist from the Institute, and if I find him, he can tell us how to get in. His name is Virgil, and he's
Clear Withering Garden.
Radioactivity. So I very carefully navigated my way to the nearest clothing store, making sure to die several times in the process, after which I bought myself a hazmat suit. This should mitigate the radiation from the glowing sea. On our way there, I observed the arrival of the Brotherhood of Steel. They've got all kinds of helicopters flying around, but they're not coping very well with the local anti-air defenses. Anyway, I arrived at the glowing sea and equipped my suit, giving me near 100% radiation immunity. Kate, on the other hand, well, she's pushing the theory of radiation hormesis to its upper limits. Honestly, once we get past the prostate cancer, the brain seed isn't too bad. I thought a few things, realized the utility of a double-barrel shotgun, and then absolutely humiliated this death plot. Proceeding a little further, led us to the children of Adam. They're basically
Next, I'll cuff us together. Just kidding.
They told me that Virgil is holed up in a cave down the road. To reward them for their cooperation, I decided to release the radioactivity trapped inside of these cars by blowing up the entire settlement. I know, it's a thoughtful gift. This detonation left only Brother Ward and Brother
Seems
Foster.
we've got some free time. Want to get up to something fun.
Seems to be handling the news well. I made my way to Virgil's edging cave, where I found him so backed up that he's literally changing colors. He agrees to help us, but says the only way to get into the Institute is by teleporting, and we're going to need a transmitter chip from inside of Cursor's skull to design one.
Next, I'll cuff him.
So, I made my way to Green Tech Genetics, feeling it could not hold a motion to stop exploding. After I figured that out, I shotgunned my way through a couple of tunnels.
Sure.
Just in time to witness him execute a man at close range with Lord Ranchero. So I made my way up and introduced myself. The cursor turned invisible, as if any part of my plan actually involved being able to see him. 12 buildings later, I had a plane in my hand. And we knew that a big one of these buildings of the railroad, behind the secretive society of anti-institute resistance fighters. So clandestine is the operation that the only way to find them is following a bright red line on the ground for 10 minutes and then entering the railroad base. Anyway, I left the railroad and started lying to them immediately, because why else would I be playing a charisma dude? They agreed to help and introduced me to a clearly neurodivergent man who attempted to decode the chip by endlessly typing the same 4 letters on his keyboard as I phased in and out of consciousness due to my acute radiation poisoning. Stunningly, this worked, and we now have all the information needed to design a teleporter. For some reason, I trusted Virgil to do this, despite him being a biologist and not an engineer. I don't know if you're aware, but that's like hiring a plumber to do your heart surgery. Anyway, in the spirit of making bad decisions, I took Virgil's teleporter schematics to Sturgis to build it, despite the fact that I had personally witnessed him hammering a wall with no nails for over an hour. If that wasn't...
Personal care guides are by your side for your entire...
If that wasn't bad enough, he came back and told me we could build this space-age teleporter using the random garbage lying around our slums. So I did, but I have never felt less confident about something in my entire life. Regardless, he flipped the switch and teleported me into the Institute, where I then took the world's slowest elevator downstairs to find my son Sean, who, for some reason, is scared of the naked man smelling of vodka with a bloody power fist, because he's claiming that I'm not his father. Shortly after, a character named Father enters the room and introduces Sean as his son. And the product of my semen, my son, Sean. Long story short, Father is my son, and Sean isn't even human. In fact, he's a Redditor. My father's son then spends his next 20 lines of dialogue trying to convince me on the merits of dating femboys. This is insane, right? It really is humanity's best hope for the future. Maybe. I don't know. I did accomplish something amazing for you. And now, after all these years, you have an opportunity to help.
I can't, but
it was
I
all
can't.
very confusing, and I'm pretty
You
sure
have to do
they're
it.
just trying to distract me from the whole
Oh, no, I
thing.
can't do anything about that, sorry.
Anyway, I checked my notes.
We're just watching.
The quest map, it is at this point in the game where we need to become hostile with the Institute. It doesn't really specify what that means, so I took it in a pretty extreme direction. After beating
Body
my son
blocking?
to death, I made my way to the atrium, a large open area just waiting to be filled with cars and exploded. So I did exactly that, at the cost of my own frame rate. And to the best of my knowledge, there were no survivors. I also stopped by the weapons lab to try and destroy their research and development team, but it looks like they got that covered themselves. I And with that, I decided to leave, only to be confronted by a small army of synths at the exit. I wasn't sure exactly what they wanted, so I decided to err on the side of caution and just start blasting.
Careful.
Within 30 seconds, a giant car bomb had already formed and ignited near the front of the base. The detonation almost all. After that, it was just a hellish experience, with cars flying in every conceivable direction. Explosions and metal sound effects, and legitimate access to human bats, because it will inevitably betray you. At one point, I made my way outside, very movie and piercing seats. All came around the corner and surprised me.
Load up and pull out! Catch him off guard. The final act begins now. Careful. It's back. I'll make it painless.
This was indeed a dark day. Retaliation was necessary.
Red light. Wait for me. Back up is here. Nothing to it.
We can use to infiltrate the Institute. So you tell me that I waded through a radioactive sea, killed hundreds of people, built an entire teleporter out of spare cutlery and condom wrappers, and even spoke to a woman, when instead I could have just crawled through 1,200 yards of feces? Thanks a lot, Virgil. So, I put on my hazmat suit and made my way to the sewer pipe. The Institute did attempt to block it with a car, as if I'm not some kind of expert at destroying them by this point. After battling my way past a bunch of guards, I'm back inside, and I hack into their computer, briefly play Galactic Control, accidentally shoot down a commercial airliner, and then teleport everyone to my coordinates. The plan is to fight our way to the reactor and place a bomb on it, which will cause this entire place to go up in flames. Pretty good idea, actually, but I'm not exactly filled with confidence when I look at my reinforcements. Before the fighting began, Preston asked me to give the Institute citizens a chance to evacuate, because apparently I'm not here to commit mass murder. But all I heard was commit mass murder. So I put on my finest genocide tuxedo and we got to work. Before long, my team had made their way to the bioscience department, where I tactically neutralized several highly dangerous scientists. We were briefly attacked by guerrillas, very briefly, before making our way into the main chamber. At this point, things got really messy really fast, and it's all kind of a blur. But I'm pretty sure I punched someone's arm out. After several extinction-level explosions, I disabled the security lockdown and accessed the reactor room, where I carefully planted the bomb, while almost certainly developing cancer. It's now time for us to make our escape, but on the way out, I'm approached by fake Sean, who all of a sudden wants to be my son, just to avoid dying in a nuclear explosion. Well, too bad, kid. I don't think gold diggers. That's not happening. So we teleported out, and I pressed the biggest and the reddest button of them all, instantly vaporizing the Institute and destroying the source of the cars once and for all. It's finally over. Oh, and Preston did have a mental breakdown, because I didn't evacuate the civilians, but he'll get over it. With the Institute destroyed and my colonies prospering, it's safe to say we've been very successful, and I believe success is something that's meant to be shared. Personally, I can't think of anyone more deserving than the fine people at Diamond City. They've helped me on numerous occasions, which is why I've decided to donate to them 100,000 boxes of Glamco mac and cheese. It is my hope that this will be received as a sign of goodwill that might bring our factions closer together. The only problem is that my factory doesn't process things while I'm away. Thanks a lot, Todd. So I went back.
New York Public Schools gives students the chance to make their dreams come true. And every time you take a chance on a New York battery, these schools win.
So I went back to the castle, sat down in my finest chair, and left my PC running for the next 36 hours. By the time I returned, I had become a pasta god, and it is now time to reward my subjects. Well, there it is. 100,000 boxes of Blandco mac and cheese, enveloping Diamond City like a warm blanket. However, there were no celebrations, no fireworks, and the city was not undergoing the massive cultural and scientific renaissance that I was expecting. And I didn't understand why. It's perfectly good food.
Hold it
On
up.
closer inspection, it became obvious. All of this pasta is uncooked. No wonder they're not eating it. So what we need is heat, the byproduct of an exothermic reaction. An exothermic reaction, such as a car exploding. Fret not, Diamond City. I've got just what you're looking for. Gentlemen, it's time to cook.
What do you hear when you press play? You hear emotions hidden deep inside you. The joy and fear you feel about becoming a father.
Every low intelligence speech check in Fallout New Vegas. Let's go.
Third floor access is for executives only. Please identify. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
What?
What? I'm happy you cleared that up for me, but we've got another situation to worry about. There's a merchant hanging around near the prison. Something feels funny about him, and I want you to deal with him. Shake him down if he's legit, but if not, take him out. Not ha-ha funny, moron. Funny as in suspicious. He's not trying to run away like most people.
Hello. Sharing knowledge with an outsider organization. I knew Veronica couldn't be trusted. We tracked your movements a long way, but it was worth to catch her in the act. Passing Brotherhood secrets to outsiders is the lowest form of treason. What have you got to say for yourself? Did you just... How dare you belch in the face of the Paladin of the Brotherhood of Steel? In the name of the Elder, I hereby sentence you to death.
Well, it's about damn time. What took you... Oh. I've been in the Reaper's shadow for a long time, and I thought he'd finally showed up to collect. He's just mocking me, huh? What? I was talking about death, kid. Guess that one went right over your head, didn't it? Old Sergeant Dornan would have had a field day with you. Thought I recognized the fellow with you. So what's this reunion all about then? Yeah, the NCR and the Legion are about you for another dust-up. So you're going to get yourself involved in it. All right, I'm in. Could be fun.
Graduate degrees that can make you more money? Yeah, Broadport's got those. You know what else we have? Some of the most affordable tuition in the country. And over 60 programs. Many 100% online. Finish your degree fast in as little as 12 months. Instead, apply today.
When you're an enrolled credit acceptance dealer and set your customers up to succeed, you can receive some pretty big checks. We pay our dealers millions every year in portfolio profit. Big checks, big opportunities. Driving possibilities.
Nailed down, it was time to leave for New Vegas. I sold some Quantum Loot, trained myself in the ways of the Chinese military, and said goodbye to Easy Peach. Thus begins our adventure into the wasteland and to the city of New Vegas. It's also where we make an important choice, coming to the first crossroads of the game. To the right is the city of Trent, and the longer but safer route to New Vegas. But to the left is the shorter path, blockaded by powder gangers, landmines, and a few other things. Naturally, we went left. Powder gangers are wasteland bandits, but they start neutral to our character, a neutrality which did not last long, giving us our first level up, so we could increase lockpicking and melee weapons, then get a new point. We get perks every even level, so levels 2, 4, 6, 8. And so on. Because our goal is cannibalism, we need the actual cannibalism perk, which is at level 4. So to get more XP, the Powder Ganger camp is located quite literally next to us, in an abandoned NCR prison, now full of hardened, explosive-toting criminals. I persuaded the guards to let me in, then had a nice chat with the people inside. Sure, they had guns, but I had my own ration. 36 bottles of alcohol. I spent about an hour looting the entire complex, then headed back to the road. Over the horizon, the city was now visible, but still a great distance away. We stopped at a mining camp so we could head
kind of transaction is outside public security's jurisdiction, right?
Continue the operation and complete Withering Garden core.
But hey, level 4, along with the cannibal perk. Robbing the bunkhouse, then the workshop, then the safe, then the donation boxes. I visited the canteen to sell to the shack.
Let me ask you a question. What's the tastiest thing you've ever eaten?
Okay, now hear me. Having now single-handedly driven a company into the ground, we still had one major problem directly ahead of us. And for those of you familiar with New Vegas,
hold up. There are death claws all over the damn place north.
Death claws are somewhat problematic, being the scariest things in the entire game. But New Vegas gives the player character a special bonus to deal with it. It's called the brain. Yeah, seems we've reached an agreement. Now we can just scroll through with... Okay, I mean, if I go to the right side, I should be fine. What if I just... How about we do this? You know what, I'm just gonna run for it. Which actually worked 5 pixels later, meaning we had successfully navigated only one of the death claws, which is fine because we've made it to Neil's shack. Neil is a friendly super mutant who gives us a side quest to scale up the mountain to the right. It's a bit of a detour, but it actually gets us both one of the strongest melee weapons, plus the companion we want for the rest of the game. Essentially, a super mutant named Tabitha has gone completely insane and has an army of invisible Nightkin under her command. Despite my best attempts to communicate, we'd have to climb up the mountain to confront her. Sneaking around these super mutant patrols was easy, escaping the invisible Nightkin wielding electric sledgehammers was less so, or it would be if I wasn't strength 10 and possessed every drug known to man.
Master, you look wonderful when you're daydreaming. Trust me, I'm connected to an HD camera.
Not very well. Can't we just talk about this instead? Running headfirst into a rocket launcher was probably not a good choice. So instead, I sniped the wielder from a distance and looted Annabelle, their legendary rocket launcher. Here at the top of the mountain are a few components, the first of which is password protected. I'd have to hack the mainframe, disable the security, remotely wire the doors. What do they brought us in? Inside the locker room is the one and only Raoul.
Name's Raoul.
A ghoul mechanic from before the Fallout War, and now our companion. Although as soon as we step outside... The Tabitha boss fight was mostly me climbing onto a tower, while Raoul tanked multiple sledgehammers to the face. At low health, Tabitha ran straight to the camp in an attempt to escape. Unfortunately for her, clearing out the rest of Tabitha's mutants along with this creature. Completing the quest leveled us to 5, then 6, so we could put more points into lockpicking, explosives, and melee weapons, plus get a perk for more damage. Getting Raoul was also immensely helpful, so we could utilize his skill, carrying 250 pounds of silverware, and of course so we could give him the drip. The other reason I wanted to complete this quest before going to New Vegas is Tabitha's weapon, the Super Sledge. For someone with strength 10 and a melee build, a rocket-powered sledgehammer is pretty good. Plus, we get to loot Tabitha's entire supply warehouse, full of extremely valuable goods. Several hundred pounds of useless garbage.
What can I do for you, boss? You sure you didn't dig a blow to the head or something?
Either way, with Tabitha gone, the next step in getting to New Vegas is getting past those death claws. Fortunately, on the side of their nest is a barely glitchable ledge you could wiggle your way onto, allowing us to slowly shimmy past all of them. Although Raoul, had to take the long one. But besides that minor hiccup, the remaining path to New Vegas is generally safe. Well, for me. By waiting an hour, Raoul just magically reappeared. Assumedly, the death claws got bored, beating his ass into sandpaper. On the way to New Vegas, we did take a brief pit stop at the Repcon HQ, an abandoned science facility managed by its remaining robotic janitor. We also had no problem watching me pick the lock through their security system. On each floor, we need to pass a security clearance check. For the first and second floors, we just needed to tour the museum and grab a security badge so we could pretend to be an employee. Hey, Mrs. Mays. I hope you have an excellent day at work today. Strangely, none of the robots actually aggro no matter what you do, though. Although for the third and final floor, we need a passcode, and our low intelligence gives us a special action. Here's phone access. It's for executives only. Please identify. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day. Up here, we can find 2 Brotherhood of Steel Paladins, who are surprisingly light, and equipped with full power armor that we can't use. In New Vegas, you need the power armor training perk for equipping power armor, and companions can't wear faction apparel they don't affiliate with. So in this case, Raoul can't wear Brotherhood of Steel armor. We can and will get power armor at some point, but not right now. After jumping through a hole in the ground, we get to bypass several locked doors and terminals to access the armor, housing the unique 235 matter modulator. Everything that is mildly effective. But finally, no more distractions, no more side quests, straight to the city we go. Traveling along the outskirts, we finally reach the gate to Freeside, the essential slums surrounding the main city. And of course, the first person who talked to me...
Looking for a fix, man? Got what you need.
Freeside is a lot like San Francisco. If you murder and loot someone in broad daylight, literally nobody cares. Yeah. Getting mugged might be common, but not for me. Freeside is also home to one of our 4 targets, the Kings, or more specifically, the King. But we'll be dealing with him on our way out of New Vegas, because Mr. House is our first target, and all we need to do is walk right through this gate. For very clearly security reasons, the only people not allowed in New Vegas are the silly, goofy horde. We need 2,000 cats, and I have just a plan to get them. And while I do that, I'd like to read to you how some other people solve problems in Fallout New Vegas, like a reviewer from PC Gamer. My advice: New Vegas is so skewed towards dialogue that you should put as much as you can into speechcraft and barter skills. The Wired says it's really about savoring every little detail in side quest until you've seen everything there is to see. Anonymous adds, I love that Obsidian really prioritized conflict avoidance in New Vegas.
No, I'll do my best.
Okay. A story that's worth checking out, and New Vegas tries to vary things up for those who prefer a wholesome genre. Thanks, various games journalists. You always know what to do. After finding a lucky key on the ground, we can enter New Vegas, greeting us with,
Hey there, friend. Bit of advice. You look like you could use some protection.
Greeting us with a dizzying array of greasy casinos, epilepsy-inducing lights, and all walks of life indulging in debauchery to the extreme. Sprawled about are multitudes of quests, characters, and shops, but we're really here for 2 things. First, to get an item called the Platinum Chip, which we need to continue the main quest line to access our other targets. Second, we need to visit Mr. House, who lives atop the heavily fortified Lucky 38 casino with a small army of Securitron bodyguards. So for that reason, the Platinum Chip comes first. The chip is located at
Life is calling, and wherever it takes you, you'll have access to care your way. MVP Medicare Advantage plans offer a broad network and free virtual care. Find your advantage with MVP. Call or go online today.
located at the top. It's a different casino run by men And if he looks familiar, he should. As soon as we enter the top, they're forced to hand over all our weapons that they can find. So how's it going, Benny? What? We're also at the top for another very different reason, and it's one of the major benefits of having Lucky 10 ambulances.
Looks like you've hit a lucky streak there. Here, have it.
Andy. An agent has recovered.
My blade's gonna rust without enemies to fight. Tired? I can carry you. My blade's gonna rust without enemies to fight. Tired? I can carry you. My blade's gonna rust without enemies to fight. Tired? I can carry you. My blade's gonna rust without enemies to fight. Tired? I can carry you. My blade's gonna rust without enemies to fight. Tired? I can carry you. My blade's gonna rust without enemies to fight. Tired. Careful.
I'll handle the rest, Jane.
Moving up. Let's rotate. Easy. The final act begins now.
I'll do my best.
So close. Got your back.
What? What exactly?
Put your hands up.
Yeah?
Who's the hunter?
What mushroom?
And who's the prey?
What about mushroom?
Full power.
I'm fine. Tell me why.
Going up. You asked for it. We're not done yet.
These dudes.
Want some more? The expert is here. Easy.
Did I hear something?
Reloading. What a steal. Continue the operation and complete Withering Garden core. Is the
See this. It's a human? What am I doing if I see that?
If someone asks me what your type, that's the answer. I'm not in love.
My turn.
Find your weakness. Watch your blind spots. No problem. Easy. No problem.
Too slow.
You need a little
Set in position.
No escape. Here's a taste of the abyss. Wanna try my massage?
Turn over, and you leave.
This is very human. Wow, very human, very human. What the fuck is this?
We can finally get through.
It takes anything.
Hey, no.
We should just do this. We should have to do it.
Why not move it?
Doing this crazy kind of. Mr. Beat that is exercise, Kyle.
I doubt that, Alex.
So Mr. Meek, KSI, Logan Paul just crazy Kyle. God, it's a giant flower. What the heck's going on? What the heck's
Watch out!
Everybody hates Chris. Assume that's what I cut this. No, that's not what I heard.
What has gone on with my
It's the thing that you were chasing me, man.
So finally, there's no boss with one of these games.
This is currently the hardest boss in the game at the moment.
Wow, it's so hard.
The final act begins now.
It's so hard, it's pretty easy.
It's a roguelike. It is the roguelike.
Let's make this quick.
Yeah, but Dead Cells, aren't you now powered in top bosses so much?
You can pretty much kill it in like 10 seconds, but you can also kill you with 10 seconds. Better learn to parry. You should play Dead Cells. Very good. We judge you very hard. Learn to parry. It's not hard.
I don't even play a game with the controls, and I didn't play with the weird
Easy.
DLC stuff, whatever DLC.
Yeah, that respawn thing,
That's more of a time saving thing, so you don't have to reset. It's because I was on the Alchemist, I didn't want to deal with Shimmer's every time I did. Like an exit 1:10 PM, like a dumbass. Like, yeah. That's your boss. First boss is also pretty easy. It's good to the fight. It's pretty easy. Yes, I have done damage with fights by luck, but I get lucky one time.
That sounds like Diablo is harder.
No, wait. Classic.
Just give up.
What are you wearing?
I stole it from Oswald's dead body.
You look stupid. This one's like a season. Everyone's dead. Being a post-apocalypse is great, you know. I mean, right? I wish I was in the apocalypse.
Goku, if he let himself go and went homeless and maybe a tad bit of Fen, you look like young Jackson.
Kids, don't do Fen. Don't.
Did you know actually Goku cheated on his wife one time?
Let's take a break.
Probably like you do.
I mean, he would. He's just kind of a dumbass. I don't remember that from Ryan.
Exclusive character.
No, there's none. The bank was not.
Dang.
When they're actual plushies of these, it sounds so much easy marketing. But no, cowards won't make plushies. Dude, there's so much Chinese plushies that are fake. There's so much fake, like, flavor stuff plushies because they refuse to make their own plushies. They just refuse to. So
okay, but go out into the world and kill a Nazi.
Nazi zombie. Like.
Oh my gosh, we're not gonna be.
Why do you hate Nazis so much?
Ain't no way. What is that dog? What do I do with this? What does the game want me to do with this stuff? I only have one character that can even use the Weeping Cradle. I have one character that can use that. Look at this. Where's Rena? A 5-star I just have never used.
Headmaid Rena at your service.
All of it.
She comes with pets.
That's a tall woman character.
The ghost. I would go down.
Jesus Christ.
She is flying. She is floating.
Wait, what?
Why is her name Rena? It says Alexandra Sebastian.
I wonder if this is program.
Off field.
Hoyoverse. They make so much.
I could master after Hyper Wheel.
What is a bear? Oh my god. I can't. You like the bear character? What is he?
When you're an enrolled credit acceptance dealer and set your customers up to succeed, you can receive some pretty big checks. We pay our dealers millions every year in portfolio profit. Big checks, big opportunities. Driving possibilities.
A mission? If you need help, call me anytime.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Do you understand your assignment? Do you understand your purpose here? Do you understand what ghosts we are going to be hunting? Do you understand the mission? Do you understand? Do you understand? Thanks to Kinetic Games for sponsoring this video. Phasmophobia is available now on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, X and S. Did we mention that?
Hey, I wonder if these ghosts realize that there's now crossplay. So not only could we be on PC, we could also be. That was a good segue.
I'm gonna ask Chloe. Very natural segue. That's I'm gonna ask Chloe my end to keep like a sponsor mention tally as this goes on.
I don't want to alarm you, but people are attempting to bribe me to get you killed.
Please do not accept the bribes again.
You're gonna have to give me a counter offer.
I have to pay you. Buy a spice bag. Spice bag.
Tonight instead of tomorrow night.
Cheeky bastard.
Oh wait, there's a place that it's so difficult to talk. I am listening a lot today. This is really difficult, and Spice Bag is off.
I bet it. Oh, okay. Kimo bit her tongue today, I believe. Yeah. She's alright.
A spice bag is a fast food dish popular in most of Ireland and inspired by Chinese cuisine. It features crispy or shredded chicken in a spice mixture with onions, peppers,
and the ghost
and chips. Chips, of course, in Ireland are French fries.
This cupcake may not be sponsored by Spice Bags, but you know who she is sponsored by? I'll stop. I'll stop.
We got crossbacks on play. So waiting. The console release of Phasmophobia is live now.
Someone in my chat just said, if I could, I would buy Phasmo again, and aren't they just in luck?
Hey, Dorothy.
Hey, Dorothy.
If you need help, come on.
Oh, that's a sick Wizard of Oz reference. She's going to love that.
Where's your Tin Man, huh?
Okay. Oh, that door just opened by itself. Yeah, let's just shut it. It's just not worrying about that. It's just...
Let's take a break.
What door? Wait, must be the wind.
Which alias should I use this time?
Hey, stay your head in the house. Slam it shut. You'll be safe here. Look at this guy can't get it. Oh no, who's that? I think Sophie's already dead.